SEGA. Real Yakuza, use a gamepad. Good to know. I am prepared. I'm a real Yakuza, apparently. So I skipped that intro because apparently it's got some spoilers. This is Yakuza 0. It is a game by SEGA. It is Japanese, and it is about the Yakuza. That's right, Yakuza, not Yakuza. Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0. So, we're going to take a look at the title screen, which is sparse. This is a sparse title screen. This is sparse as heck. So, what do we got? We got some sort of Japanese-looking font on, like a brush font, on a very sparse background with a little bit of texturing. You can see like there's some lines, a little bit of vignetting in the title screen here. Look at this. Look, we talked about this during Monster Hunter. Do you recognize that? That's that Japanese title screen font. Yeah, right? Dark Souls, Monster Hunter. It's as if there's a font that Japanese game developers all just get to share so that they can write title screen. Yeah, Resident Evil, exactly. This is the press any button font. And I guess everybody just like shares it among Japanese developers. Is there a deeper mystery here? Is there some kind of conspiracy that I don't know about? Yeah, Japanese Times New Roman. It's a communal font, I guess. So that's what we get over here. And I can't tell if the shadow behind it is supposed to be there as a way to be able to see press any button a little better, or whether it's supposed to be the shadow of the title hanging over an imaginary flat plane. I don't really know. This title screen says next to nothing about it. It looks like a fighting game title to me. I do think it's quite funny that it has this like brush font looking thing, like, hey, this is what, it's a Japanese game. Did you know that? Because this is what English characters would look like if you tried to calligraphy them with a Japanese brush. And then we have the 0, and we have the word 0, so that you know that the game is not called Yakuza. And then there's a mostly finished Maru underneath. Maru is the Japanese word for circle, so there's a brushed circle. Yeah, welcome to Yakuza 0 TM SEGA. This title screen doesn't give me much to go on, right? This is just kind of like a bright splash screen. This is the thing that's printed on the outside of the book before you actually get to look at the real cover, and feels like an arcade cabinet or a Street Fighter type game. I've been told the font is called Stempel Garamond. Thank you, Blackleaf, for that. Stempel Garamond. That's this guy over here. And then we have the Yakuza 0. I don't hate it. It's fine. It doesn't tell me anything about the game. As usual, yeah, this kind of dust cover screen, the aesthetic is ruined in part by ruination of the aesthetic, brought to you by trademark and copyright SEGA. Just as usual, just taking a piece of artistic invitation and throwing out. Really, I hate trademark and copyright logos on things. Now, I'm not sure what they're trying to impart here aside from the title of the game. I cannot tell you why we have this like slight lined texture. I don't know if there is any context for this, but you know what? This is just the dust cover. I know that there is another menu under this one, but before we go there, just take a listen. Ominous tones. Ominous tones. So it's setting up kind of like a horror movie vibe, or yeah, there is this weird sort of calmness to this title screen. If I had to guess what this game was like looking at this, the aesthetics of the visuals say fighting game, or maybe like bullet hell, and then the sound is, I don't know, it feels like an indie puzzle game or something like that. Like it's much tenser than I would have expected. But let's take off the dust cover. This is nice. I like this thing. I don't know if you can see this, but for me, I will say from a technical standpoint, for me, the image vector is it's blurry. It's quite a bit blurrier than I would expect. Now, I'm viewing this at 1440p, and I don't know if they just didn't have a vector big enough for this. I can't believe that, because this game wasn't made this, but it looks like fuzzy on my end, which is a bit odd. And I would have expected with a minimalist screen like this, they would have like really sharpened it up. But that could be a technical limitation rather than like an artistic choice on the part of the designers. So let's take a look at what's underneath this title screen. Let's press any button. Okay, so this is a little bit more traditional title screen for a game. Still very Japanese. Still very much this Resident Evil, like again with the fonts. I'm gonna get out of the way. I'm gonna move so you can see underneath where I'm standing. But that quit, okay, and back, those button prompts, remarkably Japanese game dev in the same way, right? They have that exact same kind of vibe. We have this sort of split screen between the traditional looking dragon, which I believe is meant to infer a sense of like the tattoos of a Yakuza. This sort of traditional Japanese looking design. It's supposed to draw you into that, which makes sense. I think that's reasonable. It's interesting that it takes up the shadow of this building. That we have this kind of creepy, like this. We have this creepy alleyway. Which again, I don't know if this is a significant alleyway. I don't know if this is supposed to be something like meaningful, or whether it's just implying like grimy back alley crime locale. I guess we'll see, right? We'll figure that out as we go. But there is this kind of like sickly look to it. The game is presenting a very somber approach. The music kicked up slightly when we flipped over. We got a little bit of guitar distortion in here, but really, like, I would expect this game to be quite serious in tone. Now, I know for a fact that it isn't universally, but I would expect this game to be quite serious, to be a crime drama, to be like, there's to be mystery and intrigue. It's setting a very shadowy kind of image at the beginning, which I suspect we're going to have taken away from us. So yeah, let's take a quick look over on the right hand side before we actually start the game. Notice that the menu has a very like arcade look to it. It's that same kind of brush stroke font that we saw before, and then the highlighter is like a fluid tube or something. Again, like the components there are a bit unusual. I'm not totally certain kind of what look they're going for, but if you look, there's this kind of flowiness to it. It has a sort of glassine look, and again, like a fighting game or like a Resident Evil game. It feels like it's drawing on this sort of shared aesthetic that may not fit with the game overall. Again, I'm really curious. I think that the game will likely surprise me based on the assumptions of this title screen, which I suppose means that the title screen is not a very good imparting of the game, but we can't really make that call until we get in. I feel like this is not the best title screen or sequence of title screens I've ever seen, but it's certainly not the worst either. We've definitely seen less interesting, kind of worse title screens from here. But yeah, it does imply, and this is a good point from chat, it does carry an aesthetic forward from the PS2 era, right? It's definitely not a modern UI. So let's take a look. Let's get into the game. Let's do the thing. So this is Yakuza 0, and we're gonna do full playthrough of this bad boy. So hold on to your butts, or hold on to your butsu.